All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today, for pressing play if you're watching this later. My name is Jesse Hill, and I'm the president of Tier 3 IT Solutions. And today we're just going to spend a little bit of time talking about how you can, better meet your cyber insurance requirements by practicing what we call good cyber hygiene. And this is something that we talk about frequently as just a benefit on both sides of the equation. If you're trying to get a really good cyber insurance policy, good cyber hygiene is going to help you. If you're just trying to protect your business from cyber risk, good cyber hygiene is going to help with that. So it's really critical, small and medium businesses, that we understand, first of all, that we are at risk. Very few of you watching this have businesses that can operate without technology. Very few of you have businesses that don't depend on transferring information or finances or other valuable assets through modern technology. So it's just a good idea to constantly work on improving this area of your business, both for you, your employees, your vendors, your customers, everybody. We know that a lot of cyber incidents start with a user compromise of some type. Typically, they're coming through a phishing attack. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how good cyber hygiene can protect you with that. But as we mentioned, or as I mentioned earlier, this is all things that when you apply to get cyber insurance, you're going to have to fill out a questionnaire and attest that you are or you are not implementing these types of security protections. And then the last bit, that I mentioned at the beginning is doing these things are just good. It's kind of like taking care of ourselves, as an individual, as a person. We know that if we eat the right foods and we get the right kind of exercise and we sleep well and we avoid risky behaviors, we are more likely, we're not guaranteed, but we're more likely to live longer, healthier lives. Well, it's the same thing with cyber hygiene. There is no guarantee, there is no 100% protection, but if you continuously are enhancing and improving your cybersecurity posture, your risk of an incident as compared to your peers who by and large are not doing these types of things, your risk will be generally lower. Again, no guarantees, but so let's talk first of all, what is cyber hygiene? And it is a topic that has grown and expanded dramatically over the years. But it's simple things like making sure that everybody who works at your business has good password hygiene, meaning every password they use is long, more than 20 characters. It's complex, upper and lower case, special characters, numbers, all those types of things. Is unique, meaning you don't use the same password on more than one site or service. And all that means it probably needs to be stored in a password manager of some type. So that's an example of cyber hygiene, that when everybody in your business practices that, the risk of you being compromised because one password has been stolen or phished or whatever is much lower. Other examples of cyber hygiene are having a plan and a process to review and approve and apply updates, making sure that all of your devices have the same cybersecurity protections in place, whether that's an antivirus, machine learning, anti-ransomware type of solution, maybe a managed and detection and response service. Just the thing about it is making sure that every single computer has the same protections applied. Consistency is what drives a lot of the cyber hygiene. And the thing about all of these recommendations, and there's many more that we could make, is they change. The risks that your business is facing today are different than the risks that it faced a year ago or 3 years ago, and will be different than 3 years or 5 years from now. So it's important that you have a process to review them, revise them, and make sure that they're all being implemented again consistently across the board. We already talked about how when you do these things, when you layer security solutions and processes and practices on top of each other, that's how you improve your security posture and lower your risk. Now, we talk a lot about how good cyber hygiene can protect you and your team against phishing attacks. And we start here in a lot of conversations, one, because most cyber incidents start with a user compromise. Second is that there's a couple of, I don't want to say simple things, but relatively simple things that you can be doing to reduce yours and your staff's risk. And it amazes me that we have to talk about this today, but the number one thing that you should be implementing is multi-factor authentication on every single site, service that you possibly can. Start with your email addresses. I tell people all the time, I think we underestimate the value of controlling an email account. We know that if somebody is able to compromise a key email account, like someone on your accounting team or your projects team, they can communicate with outside parties, they can siphon funds, and it's really not a good thing. Multi-factor authentication does help to protect against this. It will not eliminate the risk, but we know that when we do this, your risk goes down. The second thing is about training your employees. It's kind of like if you had a fleet of vehicles and you had an initiative where you wanted fewer accidents to occur, you would train your staff. You would show them what it looks to drive safely and unsafely. And making sure that your staff have regular ongoing cybersecurity awareness training. Not only is it good for your risk reduction, but it also is becoming a requirement of most cyber insurance policies. It's not real expensive. It's not real difficult. The important thing is to do it consistently on an ongoing basis. We talked about maintaining updates and vulnerability, patching and security applications and those types of things. So the first step of this is making sure that you actually know what applications and software and services you use within your business. Having that inventory allows you to start to build systems to monitor for updates, to review them and apply them. It's really important that you don't just turn on automatic updates. While that may seem like the easiest, simplest way to do it, there's a couple challenges that we see as a managed IT service provider. The first is that every year there's a couple of updates that come out that don't work quite right and cause bigger problems than they solve. The second thing is that when you leave the update settings to the individual computers, a user can change them. They can turn them off. So a managed IT service provider like ourselves is going to have a tool that allows us to collect updates, review them, approve them, and deploy them. And, of course, we think that's a best practice. So if you're trying to manage this on your own, look for a way that you can do that as well. And then the last point that we have on here is talking about your preparedness and your incident response planning. And this is something that is really interesting because most businesses, if you ask them about their cyber incident response plan, they'll tell you that their IT company has it covered. And as an IT service provider and business owner, I can tell you that they have part of it, but not all of it. Because in a cyber incident, you might have to involve your management teams, your customer service teams. You might need legal services, public relations, forensic, IT services, and your insurance provider might even have, ways that they think that you should be handling things. The best way to prepare for a cyber incident is to run a cyber incident simulation where you bring your team into a boardroom and you basically pretend that your systems have been compromised. It's a really interesting activity. It will really show you very quickly who understands what you have set up and where your gaps in your plan are. So I recommend doing that at least annually, and be very interested to chat with you if you wanted to learn more. Now, the other things that we have on here that we want to talk about in terms of managing your cyber risk and how it can relate to cyber insurance is that when you apply for cyber insurance, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions, and you will have to attest that you are or you are not implementing those protections. I mean, it stands to reason that the insurance company is going to determine your level of risk based on how you answered those questions. That level of risk will decide whether they want to insure you or not. It will affect the cost that you will pay for your insurance policy. It may also affect the coverages and the limits that are applied on the policy that they offer to you. So it's really important that you're maintaining that good cyber hygiene so you can prove it to the cyber insurance company. And it's also really important that when you are completing that questionnaire, whether you're doing independently or with your broker or with your IT company, that the answers that you select are accurate and true. Because if there is a cyber incident and you do need to put in a claim, you want to make sure that the cyber insurance company doesn't come back and tell you they're not going to cover you because you told them you had a certain protection in place and you didn't. So just revisiting again, a couple of the things that you absolutely should be thinking about when it comes to cyber hygiene. First of all, we want to make sure that we're keeping our systems up to date through applying patches, fixing vulnerabilities, applying security updates. Second is we want to make sure that everybody is using good, strong, solid password policy practices. So those passwords are long, they're complex, they're unique, and they're stored in a secure password manager. You want to make sure that your team is receiving regular cybersecurity awareness education and training. And finally, we want to make sure we've got a good backup of all of your critical information, wherever that may be. So again, my name is Jesse Hill. I'm the president of Tier 3 IT Solutions. I really appreciate you jumping on this quick call to learn more about this. If you have any questions or you need some help with this, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help. Thanks so much and have a great day.